January, after we saw what was going on, said there was no evidence that the coronavirus was transmissible person to person. That was in January they said that. And so I think China has been a real negative force. I understand people thought 20, 30, 40 years ago that if China liberalized, if you had more of a market, signals in the economy, that freedom would follow. But I think we've seen that has not happened at all. It's an authoritarian country, and I think it's going to be a real problem. So we're going to look at that lawsuit. I also told incoming Speaker Sprouse, is there anything we can do with the state's investment to divest out of China? And I don't know what the options would be. We invest in companies that probably have operations all over the world, so that may be difficult. But are there ways that we can at least put our flag in the ground? You know, when people boycott Israel, you saw what happened with the Airbnb. We put them on the list, and that was a big deal. So are there other ways we can do that with China? I hope there are, but I do think you will see in this next legislative session some legislation to hold China accountable. Yes, sir.
I do have a question. There's some research out there that suggests tourists won't feel comfortable enough to travel until maybe 6 months or more to the state of Florida. I'm wondering when you think the state needs to start encouraging tourism to return in those large numbers.
Well, so I think it's a great concern because so much attention is being paid to, oh, well, the governor of Colorado has announced this will open, the governor of Georgia this or that. Yeah, you can announce those things, but are people going to have confidence in coming out or not? And that's really going to depend on how all these different the groups in these various industries and businesses respond. I have been very impressed with how deeply they've thought about these things in terms of safety, and I think you're going to see a lot done. And it's interesting. Disney was criticized for staying open for that final weekend. When they announced they were closed and they had all these people there and they just kept it open, people said, oh, no. But they were doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that they weren't given credit for, and I don't think you can tie a major outbreak from the people there, at least that I'm aware of. And so certainly I think they did things that really were effective. But I think we're going to need to see that with amusement parks, hotels. The one thing I think in terms of Florida where we're good positioned, and I know that there was disagreement on some quarters of the media, but this is a virus that is most transmissible when you're in very close contact with someone, repeated contact, usually in an enclosed environment. So that's why you see the majority of the transmissions are inside the home where people pass it along to their family members. Other high-risk environments are things like the New York City subway, where they're packed in there like sardines and you really have nowhere to go. I think a lot of the things we offer, it's more of the outdoors and the sunshine, and I think that that's just a better environment to be in. You're starting to see, they did a study out of, and again, this is out of China, but I don't think there was necessarily a reason to doubt this. They looked at all the transmissions. Majority were in the household. The others were in public transportation, some in the workplace, and there was like 2 transmissions that were documented, outdoors. So unless you have like a massive crowd, some of the stuff that we offer, our parks, beaches, all that stuff, I think people are going to view that as positive, but you're going to have to do things to instill public confidence in that, and I know people are working on it. Having a good testing apparatus in place, if people have confidence in that, that's going to go a long way. But then also the antibody results could potentially instill a lot of confidence. I mean, if we really have a lot of people that have antibodies compared to who's tested positive, then that's something that I think people will want to know, and I think that would inform them about how this virus actually operates. All right, we got one more. Yes, sir.
With the Friday deadline for the short-term findings of the task force, 2 days left. It sounds like small businesses are really pushing for a more swift reopening, but they also want a structured set of guidelines. And is 2 days now enough time to really get those guidelines?
Well, I think it will be, but don't understand. They're going to give me recommendations. We're going to be consulting. We do have medical folks that will want to have them offer some insight on. And I also understand. And so, for example, I've told my folks we need to get the doctors to talk with some of the licensing boards like cosmetology, barber, and all this stuff to figure out, okay, what's the contact like? How can you reduce the contacts? And I think there's a path forward for a lot of this stuff, but you got to be smart about it and you got to do it intelligently. So we hope to get that. But look, at the end of the day, we're going to work through the weekend like we have for the last 2 months, but we'll work through the weekend. And so if they're still working, get it to us, then we'll be able to be in a position where we'll be able to look. But as they're doing this stuff, we're doing stuff parallel as well with just consulting with people, particularly on the medical side, which is very, very important. So I think we're going to have a lot of great ideas. And like I said, I've been really impressed with the ideas that we've been getting so far this week. So thank you, guys. We'll have another update tomorrow.